live now. This is the Shredder Show. No, but hope you guys get some cool stuff out of this. So we've been working with patterns. Whoop, we just went live. So welcome, guys. This is the Shredder session, guitar session. So we are going to work on more lead playing and getting our fingers ready for lead guitar. So if you've ever been out there and you go, man, I want to play more lead guitar kind of stuff, well, might help you out a little bit. There's tons of stuff online. I just got a note from buddy Troy that Fender's kind of opening up their guitar education for free, I think, for a couple months. So you can go to Fender and see what they have for videos there. I'm sure they got a ton of awesome people giving awesome lessons, and it's going to be much better quality than this too. But for those that are in our church, especially, this might be fun. You guys know me, so this might be a way for you guys to touch base with me, and we can go over this together. It's very cool. So what we worked on last time, if you remember, was we just worked on something on the 12th fret where we did a pattern. And you're working on your alternate picking. And then what we did is we kind of did some interesting stuff with that, where we just developed a little pattern where we went like this. And so we just kind of kept going like that. Now, two ways I was playing that, right? One of them with the fat on, leaning on the bridge here, so it muted it, and the other way was a little more open. So, but that pattern, remember, it was in the first session. And then what you can do with that is you can make it into octaves, right? So you can kind of do this and just work on those patterns. So what we want to do now, though, is just kind of take this. We'll take it up here a little bit today, and we'll maybe play on the this fifth fret. And what we're going to do is we're going to work on some more of those patterns. So these patterns will be instead of doing it this way, which is the minor, let's take the major and just look see how different this kind of sounds. So this is we're just doing whole steps. Whoop, I did a little slide in there, right? All I'm doing is just doing a slide. So what you want to do is to start working on it. So you're just doing that major little pattern, right? And remember, you can do the octave. So you can go into the octave like. So it sounds a little more cooler. So you can see how it sounds, right? If you're soloing and you're like, man, I'm going to shred it. So anyway, but you get the ideas. You can take this pattern, just like you did this pattern, and you can octave it. There's an octave. There's an octave. So I'm just taking those major patterns. Now remember, you can use the pattern that we did from the first session here, and that's what I did in my example. But we can do something different too, and this is going to get you to start working on some patterns that are really common with solo guitaring, and that is taking these short little patterns that we're doing, which are all beginnings of scales that we'll learn in a little bit. So, because we want you to learn the 5 areas of the neck, which is really important for you guys. But we want you to learn the scales too that are in those areas, so that along with the chords, you're playing scales within those patterns too. So that would be good. And that's how you get your hands kind of going all over the place. But for now, what you're doing is you're just working on these little patterns, right? And then check this out. You can do this. You can kind of go 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's easy, right? But then go. So you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 3, 4, 5, 6. And so you get a so that's a pattern that's really popular in guitar. So you can hear it if I play the full scale. You'll so you start kind of hearing that, right? So you can start hearing how that would sound, right? All distorted out, just really cool, right? So you hear that all the time in guitar, right? So it's kind of the way you build that scale, that solo, to a kind of a feverish pitch. So that's one of the patterns, though, is that 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you go 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, ascending and descending. So there's another way to play it too. So this is another way. So not only that pattern of 4, but now you can play a pattern of 3. So that's another way, and that sounds kind of cool too. So, and then that one sounds popular too. This pattern of 3s, because it sounds a little bit. If you so it's kind of got that, that cool, that again. It's a triplet pattern though. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. What we call triplets. So it's kind of cool. So you can develop that quick too if you just worked on it over and over and over again. You can sit in front of your TV and just keep working on it and working on it and working on it. Again, it's weird for me because I'm not an electric guitar player really, so it for me it feels a little weird. I'm not that good at it like I used to be when I was a kid, but I still can kind of fake my way through it. But there's another pattern that I wanted to show you too. It's not just 4, not just 3, but let's roll with 2. So you're getting the picture here, right? That you can kind of go in different routes with just using this little motive we're doing, which we're only taking 6 notes. Either that pattern or we're taking this one. Just the major or the minor. And we're just taking that motif, and now we're just rolling with a pattern of 4, a pattern of 3, and let's do the pattern of 2. So this pattern's cool. I like this pattern. So we start with this one, this note, then we go right to the third actually note. Then we go 2, then we go to 4, then we go to 3, and we go to 5. We go to 4, we go to 6. So it looks like this. cool pattern. So it's kind of fun to do that one. That one sounds really cool. It's kind of cool. Kind of like that sound. So you have one that goes like this. You have one that goes like this. You have one that goes like this. So you can see how these are all just really cool, you know. So if you're soloing, you can throw in a little, you can throw in a little bit of that extra little, or you can throw in a little, or you can throw in a little. So there's different patterns, isn't that cool, that you can do at different parts of your solo. And so you take a motif like what we're doing, and we're just adding these little patterns to it. So what's really hard though is when you start developing a scale, like a full scale. Say we take just a regular major scale, we can take it from here and from A major, and we just go. But if we take that scale and now you try to extrapolate everything that you learned in that scale, or from the patterns onto that scale, the whole length of the scale, it now becomes kind of difficult. Where now, so both ways. Messed up. So you can see how that takes a lot of practice just to get that kind of fingering. So you got to really work on it, and just over and over and over and over. And that's kind of what you do to start developing your picking and your fingering skills, where you're starting to do that over and over and over and over. And so, that's what you can start doing is if you do know any scales other than the Platonic scales. So I'm not talking about the like what we call the blue scales. Let's leave that one out right now. But if you know any of the major minor scales, the modal scales, so what we call modal scales, so if you know those scales, then you can start putting these patterns onto those scales, and it could be way cool. So that's one of the things you want to do, okay? So I'm going to give you that so you can start working a little bit on more of the patterns and working on that over and over and over again. And in the meantime, we'll just give you another little caveat so you can just enjoy learning something cool about shredding too, is that just as we shred by picking notes, there's always the hammer-ons, right? And there's pull-offs. So sometimes it's easier to do in these patterns. Sometimes you just hit one note, play the. See what I'm doing? I'm sometimes not hitting every note. And a lot of people don't. So, and sometimes it sounds better when it's not. So when you're picking every note, it's like a staccato, real quick. Stops. But if you hammer on and pull off, it sounds legato. It kind of flows a little more. So sometimes people, all I'm doing is just plucking the first note on the string, right? So sometimes you can do it that way, and it sounds cool. So you can play it hammer-ons, pull-offs, or you can pluck every note. You want to practice all that. So there are different ways of doing it. So that's just plucking one note per string. So you can work on those things too. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an arpeggio because most of you guys like arpeggios. But if you play just like, say, we're going to go down here on the 12th fret and say we're going to play just your normal major. So I'm going to give you this pattern. So I'm going to give you this major arpeggio. Now to arpeggiate the chord is just plucking every note. That's arpeggio. So there's nothing special when you say arpeggio. It doesn't mean anything crazy special. It just means what you're telling people is that you're going to pluck every note individually, instead of together. That's the opposite. So that's what we mean. Arpeggio, chord. Arpeggio, chord. Okay. So now what we do to fill in this arpeggio, make it kind of cooler though, is just by adding the third here of that scale. So if we hit the third, then we play this arpeggio. The chord. There's it's an octave, right? So because this string and this string are the same, is the same. So we hammer on that one, play the chord, pull off, come back, play that third again. Now the way we do this so it doesn't look so weird and sloppy and kind of everything is we kind of mute everything with our fat. So we kind of mute the string. And instead of playing it like this, we kind of individualize these strings, the notes, individualize it. So you've probably seen chords like this. Right? So all we're doing is that's the bottom half of this chord. We're just kind of just adding that third. So what you do is you just work on that little part. And what I'm doing is I'm coming down, hammering, pulling off, or coming back up. And then when I end it here, I don't hit this one again. I'm actually hitting this one and then going back, ascending. So that's kind of how you do it. Isn't that cool? So instead of playing like the full chord and just going, or that would be kind of weird, right? Instead, we kind of individualize. Put our fat on there, mute them, make a little staccato. So that's kind of how you do that kind of arpeggio. That's just a regular major arpeggio right there. So it just comes right off of the chord. So when you play a chord like there, so we did this pattern. Isn't that cool? So you can just, hopefully you're seeing the little, it's all right there off the fifth. That's what it is right there. So hopefully that helps you guys a little bit and just gives you some cool stuff. Okay, we'll keep moving forward with these shredder lessons. So you guys enjoy it. We'll talk to you soon. Okay, take care. Bye bye.